Something that is really fun to embrace when you go out of your comfort zone and you go traveling on your own is the embrace of the different cultures. Now, quick story time. When I was in Bosnia and Herzegovina, I had a tour guide who really opened my eyes to the pace of us as Australians, Americans, English. Lifestyle is extremely fast paced. We like to, as he liked to say, be coffee walkers. We get our coffee, we're on to the next adventure. We have to rush to work, we have to rush to study, we have to rush to Pilates, we have to rush to gym. We don't take a second to sit and enjoy that coffee that we've just paid money for. We're on the go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle all the time. He said, don't be a coffee walker. And you will never find someone in Europe that's a coffee walker. They like to sit. They like to hold their coffee, sip and enjoy every taste that they can get from that cup. He also said that you will never find someone drinking coffee alone. If you sit in a cafe in the Balkans region, which is where I was traveling, you will never catch someone sitting on their own. You'll always be invited over to a table. You'll always be welcomed into conversation by a stranger. Because in his words, coffee should be enjoyed with friends and never whilst on the go. It really is hard to stay out of that hustle culture though when you return back home, because the societal pressures that are put on you to be on the go and to be striving forward and to be working hard every second that you can is really prominent, especially here in Australia. So I really embraced it while I was traveling around. I was able to sit at a slow pace and soak in every moment and enjoy my food, enjoy my coffees. And it's taken me a lot of effort here to consciously keep that slow, peaceful pace that I had in those cultures. And it's something I want to invite you guys to do today. Don't be a coffee walker, sit and enjoy it. Today, I'm answering your questions, chatting all things solo travel in Albania, embracing life's simple pleasures, the magic of smiling at strangers, and self-development breakthroughs that changed my life. Let's get to know me, hey? I have been sent through a whole load of questions that you guys would like answered about myself and why I am starting these insane conversations with strangers. The first question I was getting was, why do you want to talk to strangers about travel? And I guess the thing that really inspired me to start this was that I was having these conversations anyway as I was traveling around all through Europe mainly. I was meeting people that were doing some incredible styles of travel. They have stories that are super empowering. People doing it for lost loved ones, people doing it for self-development, people doing it for mental health. And I thought that these so-called regular voices need to be heard, because there's a lot of travel influencers out there that show you the glamour. They show you the free, luxurious resorts that they get to stay in. But you don't often get to speak to a regular backpacker. And so I decided that they needed a platform to share their voice on, because their voices are so inspirational. Their voices matter. And you guys out there deserve to hear these incredible stories. Hopefully it inspires you to set out on your own adventures. Which culture or community has left the biggest mark on you? You know what? The culture that left the biggest mark on me was actually Albania. Because before going to Albania, I had people telling me, oh, don't go there as a solo female traveler. It's unsafe. The people there aren't safe. As a female, you're going to get targeted. And I decided to take that all on board and be super safe with what I did. But I was so surprised by how insanely friendly most of the people in Albania were. So welcoming into their homes, helpful with giving out water. because when you're traveling around and your water bottle runs out, you're on a budget, you don't want to keep going buying plastic water bottles. I would go into restaurants and just, can you please fill up my water? And they were all so lovely and they would always do it for me. So Albania really took me by surprise. But the reason that it did have the most impact on me was because of the culture difference. There was definitely a line between who were really friendly Albanians and who very clearly displayed the separation between males and females. I felt very targeted as a female, a lot of staring, a lot of men coming up to talk to me, and I never felt unsafe in those moments, but it was definitely something that I noticed wasn't anything I'd experienced in my culture. Everyone's a little bit more respectful towards women and men. But yeah, that was something I very clearly recognized from my time in Albania. I had one man who owned a hostel ask me where my husband was, because I told him I'm 24, and he said, "Where's your husband?" And I said, I don't need a man. I'm traveling on my own. And he said, "You need to have a husband. What do your parents think?" And I was like, well, now I definitely don't need a man. As soon as you're saying that, I can look after myself. I'm an independent woman. And I just decided to laugh it off. I could have really argued with him, but no matter what I say to people who have been taught that that is the way that they have to live, that's the way females should live, nothing I can say is going to be able to change and affect that. So I decided to take that interaction as a lesson to be grateful for the way that I've been brought up and how privileged I am as a woman in the Australian culture. There's still ways to go with full equality, but I'm very grateful that I've grown up in this day and age where I do have the freedom to travel on my own. So the next question is, what is the most unexpected lesson you've learned whilst traveling? Honestly, I think it has been to smile at strangers, because you never know how much that can make their day and how it can blossom into incredible connections. The amount of times I've just been sitting alone in a hostel or in a cafe and I smiled at the other girl sitting on her own too, that we then ended up spending the rest of the day, a couple days together, or going on week-long road trips together, just from a simple smile at each other, that acknowledgement that you're both present and there and open to connecting potentially. It doesn't have to be weird. You don't have to go around smiling creepily at everybody, but you just never know what can come from simply smiling at a stranger, especially in hostels. You walk into a hostel bedroom and there's other people in there, break the ice straight away. Say hey, say what's happening, where you from, because there's nothing more awkward than going into a hostel room and it be awkwardly silent and then you've been in the same room for too long to start saying something. So break the ice straight away. They might be your next travel buddies for the whole next week. I ended up traveling Montenegro in the Alps, staying in cute little cabins and road tripping around with 3 once strangers that I met in a hostel, and turned out to be some pretty great guys with incredible memories from that little trip. So smile at strangers. What is the most surprising thing I've learnt about myself through experiencing other cultures? I think it is the realization of how fixed my mindset was on what my lifestyle should look like. Because this idea of should look like is actually a conscious restriction that you're making on what's possible for your lifestyle. That's based on the factors of nature and nurture, how you've been brought up, what your parents have expected of you, what they don't expect of you, pressures you put on yourself. And I think traveling has allowed me to see so many different types of lifestyles and ways of life, priorities that different cultures embrace. So yeah, it's definitely helped me realize that I need to let go of those restrictions and just follow what really aligns with me, what kind of lifestyle, pace, landscape, activities, hobbies, can be promoted in a certain type of place. Where is that for me? And letting go of those limiting restrictions you put on yourself from being brought up to expect something strict of yourself when you might be more aligned with a different type of lifestyle. And the only way to discover those different lifestyles is by getting out there and being open to experiencing them. How do you stay present and mindful during your travels? This is something that I really had to work on, because I found that even in times where I had zero reason to stress, I was safe, I was going to these incredible experiences, I was meeting incredible people, I was happy, I was safe and secure, my brain still found ways to make me feel like I should be worrying about something. Like, years down the line, my future, what I should be working towards, what I should be doing. I should be saving money and making money instead of spending it all on travels. And so I really needed to learn how to catch myself in those moments, journal it out, talk to people, go to community events to kind of snap back into the reality of where I am right now, how to be present with the experience I'm having right now. Because in this current moment and in those current moments that I was feeling that, I didn't need to be stressed. So I found journaling really helped, meditation really helped me, and talking to other travelers that are probably experiencing the same thing. One more question for you guys to answer, and that one is, have you ever been completely out of your comfort zone while traveling? Of course. Of course. From the second you decide to go traveling, there is a level of comfort zone that you have to run from. You have to be able to escape those fears and stresses of what about my job? What about my friends? What about my money? What about my safety? You have to be able to look at it very analytically and recognize that you are able to achieve so much more from getting out of that comfort zone than you are from staying still and sitting in that fear. So stepping out of your comfort zone comes from the very beginning, and it's not going to stop at just that either. You're going to embark on your experiences, and your comfort zone is going to be tested nearly every day, whether it might be interactions with locals, interactions with other people that you're traveling with on buses, in hostels, or even adventure activities, getting out of your comfort zone. Go skydiving, for goodness sake. Jump out of a plane with a parachute. Like, do those things that are really adrenaline inducing. You never know how much positive perspectives you're going to gain from doing these things that scare you. First of all, you need to feel the fear. Recognize this is something that you are not used to. Your nervous system is not comfortable with. But do it anyway, because that's where the growth happens. That's where the mindsets shift. Yeah, many times I've been out of my comfort zone. Getting on strangers' boats in the middle of the night is also not a great idea. That's a story for another time. That's all of the questions I have for you guys right now. I will answer some more soon. Shoot them in the messages below and I'll be able to get back to you. Also, give us a follow. If you're interested. If you're interested in sick stories and finding out some really cool people that are out there, I promise it'll be worth it. Peace. Now that we're all not going to be coffee walkers, I would like to know, when you're sitting in a cafe next, what do you like to do whilst drinking your coffee? Do you prefer sitting alone and reading a book? Do you prefer journaling? Do you prefer talking to friends? Do you prefer talking to the barista? Or do you prefer taking it out of the coffee shop and go sitting by the water? What's your ideal way to not be a coffee walker but still enjoy your coffee?